Well, Forza Horizon 6 finally dropped last week, and of course, the same day it dropped, I was whammied with a cold. So apologies that this video has taken a little bit longer to get around to than I was previously expecting, but anyway, after about 20 hours playing this game, I genuinely think this might be the best Horizon map that Playground Games has made yet. I mean, Tokyo alone feels like an entire racing game by itself. There's some surprisingly tight alleyways, layered highways, mountain roads, dense traffic zones, neon-lit tunnels, and somehow every car feels different depending on where you're driving. But at the same time, this is still very much so a Horizon game. Some of the old issues are still here, the structure is very familiar, and if you hated previous Horizon games, this probably isn't gonna convert you over anytime soon. But if you've been waiting for the series to evolve in meaningful ways, maybe subtle ways, while keeping that same addictive open world formula, Forza Horizon 6 gets very close. Now before we begin, I just want to do a little social experiment. My first Forza Horizon game was actually Horizon 2 Presents Fast and Furious, and I just want to know, did anyone else play that game, and if so, was it your first Horizon game, or am I alone? For a free Fast and Furious Forza game, it was actually not that bad. I remember enjoying it enough to get all the 1000 gamer score from it. Anyway, sorry about that diversion, let's talk about Horizon 6. So obviously the biggest star of the game is absolutely the map. And yes, I know that every Horizon review pretty much says that, but this time it actually feels deserved. Tokyo alone, as I say, is huge, probably 5 times the size of Horizon 5's biggest urban area. Thank God for that. And because of how dense it is, it completely changes how driving and racing feels. For the first time in Horizon, or at least as long as I can remember, I found myself choosing cars based on where I wanted to drive instead of just raw performance. And outside of the city, the map somehow, for the most part, keeps the same level of quality. You've got mountain forests, coastal roads, snowy ski trails, rice paddies, rural villages, oh my god I'm gonna run out of breath, industrial zones, and these quiet countryside roads that almost feel like they belong in a different game entirely. And now breathe. One of my biggest problems with Horizon 5 was that Mexico looked nice, yeah, but after not very long the entire map blended together. After 20 hours, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of what the map actually has to offer, and that's crazy. One of the smartest changes is the Fog of War system. Instead of instantly filling your map with every event, race and collectible the second you arrive, Horizon 6 lets you discover things a bit more naturally. And it sounds minor, but it does actually change exploration. You're not just driving from icon to icon anymore, you can actually just drive around, go down random roads, and you might come across a random race, a collectible, or a bonus board. It gives the game a sense of discovery that previous Horizon games lost over time, and honestly, I hope this system stays forever. Now, if you're a simulation purist, you're probably still not going to like the driving model in this game because it is obviously very arcadey, but to me, I think it's the best the series at least has ever felt. It's definitely a lot more polished than it has been in previous entries. Tuning seems to matter a lot more this time around, especially if you're playing on higher difficulties, because the AI is evil. You can't just throw max horsepower onto every car and expect to dominate. Road builds, dirt setups, cross-country suspension, drift tuning, or if you're a moron like me, just go onto the tune setups that other people have made and use those instead. But the bottom line is, it all actually feels meaningful now. And the cool part is that different environments expose weaknesses in your setup straight away. A car that dominates Tokyo highways will definitely struggle in mountain passes. A dirt build might feel a bit less stable through city streets. So there's this constant loop of testing, tuning, tweaking, and improving your garage that becomes incredibly addictive. And thankfully the progression system is also slightly different this time. The game frames you as a tourist arriving in Japan, and before entering the Horizon Festival properly, you have to earn your wristband and work your way in. Now of course, don't expect some deep narrative RPG here. Within the first few races, you're basically inside the normal Horizon structure again, but I do think the framing works better than Horizon 5's instant celebrity approach. In Horizon 5, everyone acted like you were a racing god pretty much immediately, but here you actually start as nobody. And while the game still eventually turns you into the centre of the universe, the slower build-up makes the early hours feel a bit more grounded. One progression change that was definitely needed and that they were testing with the Horizon 5 Hot Wheels DLC was the performance tier unlock system. So instead of immediately throwing S2 hypercars at you, you gradually scale upward from lower classes into the higher performance tiers. So a lot of early game features around C-class and B-class races, which in my opinion can be just as entertaining as the high speed ones. In fact, scratch that, some of the slower cars are way more fun because of the way that the roads are designed. Tokyo especially feels incredible in some of the lower powered Japanese cars. And then there are these showcase events and boss races. Still the best part of Horizon. Nobody else makes racing spectacles like this, and they're so much more interesting than Horizon 5. I mean, hell, you're racing a giant mech very early on in the game, and it's just so entertaining. I mean, it's ridiculous, don't get me wrong, but I mean that as a compliment, really. Now let's just talk about the dialogue for a moment, because Horizon definitely has a reputation at this point. Previous games got kind of demolished for the ultra-positive corporate LinkedIn-style writing, where every character sounded like they've been trained by HR before being able to speak to you. And yes, some of that is definitely still here. There are still moments where characters talk like motivational speakers at a TED Talk instead of actual human beings. But thankfully, it's way less intrusive this time.
One rising star hoping to secure that purple wristband is Nakamoto Midori, looking to show they have what it takes to ascend to the next tier of competition.
Mostly because the game stops trying so hard to make every single conversation feel like a pep talk. The tourist framing also helps the tone a lot. Japan feels like a place you're arriving in rather than a place that instantly worships you. And some of it's actually really interesting, with characters explaining local culture, car scenes, racing traditions, and all that jazz in a way that actually gives the setting texture. And it's interesting. And you'll notice details everywhere too, shrines on mountain roads, authentic signage, rural towns that actually feel lived in, not Mexican ghost towns, and the vehicle variety matching different regions. It's clear they put some serious effort into making this feel culturally distinct instead of just visually different from the last game. Now of course, that said, don't expect the story to carry the game for like 40 hours. The whole rags to riches setup only really lasts a handful of hours before the standard Horizon Festival structure basically takes over the whole thing. After that, it's basically just race progression, unlocks, and event chains as normal, so the narrative works more like a wrapper than an actual driving force for the game, but that's probably fine. People play Horizon for the world and the driving, not some emotional campaign. Now, visually, this game looks incredibly good. Now, it's fully ray traced, and the difference is obviously going to be very noticeable at night. However, I'm not on a mega powerful computer. I am running a several years old 3060, and I'll drop the rest of my specs below, but I managed to run the game in high settings without any major issues. The game just looks so good. The car models are insane, the weather effects are actually surprisingly good, the environments themselves probably look the best they've ever looked, and it probably helps that the map is nowhere near as bland as Horizon 5's was. I don't normally f**k with camera modes in games, but Horizon 6 has seen me spending a lot of time using it, and not just to capture footage of all the cars in the game, like it wants you to, but to actually take some nice photos. Well, nice might not be the word I'd use, but to take photos. There's just an insane amount of environmental detail. Cherry blossoms react to your tyres as you drive through them, and that's such a tiny thing, but it perfectly represents why this map works so well. It exists purely because it looks beautiful, not for gameplay or progression, but for atmosphere. And the game is honestly at its best when it slows down enough for you to appreciate those smaller moments. And outside the city, the visual variety still stays incredible. The snowy mountains, the coastal cliffs, the bamboo forests, rice fields. There's just so much going on here, and unlike Horizon 5, each biome actually feels visually distinct from the others. Mexico had some alright scenery, but Japan has memorable scenery. The soundtrack is also pretty damn good. Horizon still has some of the best radio stations in modern gaming, and I'm sure if you're like me, you probably just turned it off after a little while to play your own music, but for a change, I actually enjoyed the music that was being played before I decided to turn it off to listen to my own Spotify playlist. Now, the game definitely isn't perfect. One issue I noticed pretty quickly is the traffic variety. You start seeing the same traffic cars over and over again, especially in the city. I'm pretty sure it's a Renault 5 that they've got in this game, and I must have come across this thing like 200 times. It's ridiculous, and it's normally in the same colour as well. It's not game breaking, but once you notice it, you really do notice it. And considering how detailed the world is otherwise, it stands out more than it probably should. Like, surely it wouldn't hurt to just add a few more random background cars, or just have some of the cars you can unlock in the game just driving around as NPC cars. Why is that so hard? Anyway, I'd also like some more street and road races overall. The map is so good for technical urban racing that I constantly wanted more events for it, but to me at least, I haven't looked at how many events there actually are overall. It certainly feels like there are more dirt and cross-country events overall. And also, barn finds costing money to claim the cars is kind of annoying. It's not the end of the world at all, but it's just an unnecessary progression mechanic. Now, I've also seen some complaints online that don't completely match my experience with the game. There was obviously the roads are too wide and there's no traffic, or hearing British accents somehow ruins the setting. And the roads too wide thing, I kind of get. There are a few moments where that does happen, but for the most part, they feel fine. The traffic is also fine, there's just a lot of the same cars. And the British accents thing, well, it's a festival from Britain that travels around the world. So of course recurring characters are going to show up again. And the roads definitely aren't empty. I've actually crashed into traffic way too many times, to the point it actually gets kind of annoying. At the end of the day, Horizon 6 feels like the series finally refining itself, instead of just repeating itself with a different map. The map is insane, the driving is the best it's ever been, and the progression changes improve exploration. The visuals are absurdly good, and while the story isn't anything special, still, it at least feels less artificial than the previous entry. It still has familiar Horizon issues, like the same repetitive structure and awkward dialogue, and let's face it, probably some missing content too, but the core experience is so strong that most of those issues become background noise once you're actually driving. One other minor complaint that I will just bring up, it hasn't affected me personally because I have the game through the Xbox app, but for some reason the premium upgrade pack is not available to buy on Steam. So you know on Xbox app you can get the premium upgrade bundle to upgrade your copy of the game. On Steam you have to just buy it all separately. Seems a bit of a weird omission, but anyway. This might be the first Horizon game where I've actually spent as much time simply just driving around as I did actually racing, and that's probably the biggest compliment I can give the game. Horizon 6 doesn't just give you a map to complete, it gives you a world you actually want to exist inside and drive around. And for me, that makes it one of the better arcade racing games that I've played. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of Horizon 6? Are you playing it? Are you gonna play it? Share all your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications to stay up to date with my future uploads. A massive shout out to my Patreon subscribers for the continued support, and all I really have left to say is thank you and goodbye.